Afternoon, everyone. Myron Riley, County Jail Ministry. Thank you.
Hours KCCRT.
Ashley Appleton, KCCCRT.
Good afternoon, everyone. Debbie Case. I'm Community Outreach for St. Mary's, and I'm also from the KCCCRT.
Jessica Kinnersley with Rep. Jackie Haas's office.
And I'm Jackie Haas, the 79th District State Representative, and also with the Helen Wheeler Mental Health Center.
Eric Springer, Chief of Police for Kankakee Community College.
Robin Passwater, Chief of Police for Kankakee PD.
Chad Gessner, Undersheriff, Kankakee County Sheriff's Office.
Chris Curtis, Mayor, Kankakee.
And no, community member and representative from the NAACP.
Natalie Ojeda, community. Oh, I thought he was pointing at me. Senator Patrick Joyce's office.
Office, Chief of Community Division.
Afternoon, Rosemary Foster, Pembroke Township, County Board, District 4.
Steve Hunter, First Vice President, NAACP County Board, Hispanic Partnership, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Paulette Crank, Secretary for the Kankakee County NAACP.
Kathy Meltzer, Assistant Secretary, NAACP, and also the Chair for the Legal Redress Criminal Justice Committee.
Shelley Stroud, Olivet Nazarene University.
Bob Mason, Lieutenant, Bradley PD.
Lori Gabway, Executive Committee Member, NAACP.
President of the Kankakee County branch of the NAACP.
Mike Downey, Kankakee County Sheriff.
Again, I want to welcome everyone for in attendance, and we're going to forego the minutes from our last meeting, and I just want to make and we have Chief Al Swinford from the village of Mantino. Yeah, always. This is a great time to be involved in our community, particularly regarding criminal justice and police reform. And the Kankakee County Community Crisis Response Team purpose is to respond to an incident of civil unrest, events affecting individuals, groups, and communities in our county. And the response team is also committed to reducing crime, strengthening relationship between law enforcement and the community, and building on improving policies practice. The goal is also to diffuse tension with individuals in those communities involved in the crisis and to understand the crisis better and implement solutions. Incidents can include arrest, a shooting, violent crime, sudden death, suicide, and the use of force situations that may provoke tension within our community. So with all that said, I want to applaud all those members who've been in training, who've been attending the meeting of the Kankakee County Crisis Response Team, and it's only going to improve the relationship between law enforcement and our respective communities, and continue to build that trust that we have to have in 2022. And at this time, we're going to talk about a hot topic that in this room last week, Senate Bill 3653 and House Bill, Senate Bill, however we might want to, is 3653 that's going to go into effect on January 1st. And Sheriff, we want you to take some time. I talked to State's Attorney Rowe. I'd like to have his PowerPoint presentation from last week with the Kankakee Economic Alliance. So let's just touch on some of those key points that some of the members that's here that might not really understand what's going to transpire on January 1st. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I know after this morning's criminal justice meeting, Mr. Hunter asked me to show my PowerPoint, and I didn't like the green beans either. Mr. Hunter asked me to show my PowerPoint because Jim Rowe and I both had one. His was more on the legal side from the state's attorney's office. Mine was more on the police side. However, my thumb drive, following last week's presentation, went in my suit coat pocket and is sitting in a suit coat pocket hanging up in my closet at home. So I don't have it. But I'm sure that Mr. Rowe and I will be showing these again. One of the things, and we've both said, both Jim and I have said, that there is a lot of information out there about 3653. Some is accurate, some is inaccurate. And again, when you're talking about legislation like this and the effects that it's going to have on our communities, that's not a good thing for the information to be inaccurate. I know that between Mr. Rowe and myself, anything that I've tried to put out, I have always run it by him, being the attorney for the county, and as he will rightfully tell you, he has read 3653, he said no less than, and probably more than 5 times all the way through. And Theodis, if you'd hand me that packet right there. So this is House Bill 3653. This is printed to save a tree on both sides of the paper. So think of 3653 as double this size. And again, and we said it last week and we'll say it again, we'll continue to say it. Jim and I don't feel like this is a political issue. We feel like this is a public safety issue. So anything that we say here is not meant to lean one way or the other politically. It's just a fact. And as we discussed last week, the legislature was given 754 pages, 30 minutes before they were asked to vote on it. So if you can imagine, I couldn't read 20 pages in 30 minutes probably. So there's no way that the people who voted on this knew what they were voting on. The biggest issue coming up on January 1st, 2023, is going to be the elimination of cash bail. And that is going to have a huge impact on public safety because of who can be detained and who can't and for what reasons. House Bill 3653 and the elimination of cash bail, as has been touted, is going to be the first, Illinois is going to be the first state to completely eliminate cash bail. And one of the problems with 3653, and one of the things that I suggested to the Criminal Justice Committee this morning, is for those in this room to take a look at New Jersey's model of bail reform. New Jersey's model still gives judges discretion to hold somebody. And I don't want to cross paths here with what Jim talks about, but I can tell you that with 3653, our local judges really have no discretion whatsoever. It's all in this, either you hold them or you don't. There are unique circumstances why somebody's let go. There's unique circumstances why somebody's held. But all that is taken away on January 1st. And you know, without mixing a lot of stuff of what Jim is talking about, and I'm sure that we'll have another meeting here before December 1st or January 1st, and Jim can present the information as it stems from the court. So I don't know what else to say other than, you know, we are more than willing to sit down and talk. I know our legislators are working hard. I know Senator Joyce, I know Representative Haas know that something has to be done. I think it's gaining more and more traction out there in the national media. From Springfield, I know that there are people that are now arguing back, saying that it's not as bad as what us fear-mongering sheriffs have made it out to be. So I would encourage you to take a look at New Jersey's bail reform. That was something that was done over a period of time. It wasn't anything done in 30 minutes. It was done over a number of years with studies and with valid information, and it seems to be working pretty well. And if we want to reinvent the wheel, I don't know why we wouldn't not reinvent the wheel and look at something that works already. But again, that's one person's opinion, and you know, I can give you a couple of examples, and one of the things that I have said numerous times that I think is important for all of us in here, and last week we were talking to a majority of business owners. It was the Economic Alliance, and we were talking to a number of business owners. And one of the biggest parts of 3653 that people don't realize is that as it is now, if you own a business or your property and you have somebody who's trespassing on your property, you can ask them to leave. If they don't leave, you can call the police. If the police get there and they still don't leave, the police can arrest them. Pretty simple. On January 1st, if somebody's on your property or in your business and you ask them to leave and they don't, they call the police. And you know what we can do when we get there? Write them a citation. And then they stay there. And then what do? They tell us, according to this, that we cannot arrest unless they are a threat to somebody. Well, if somebody is sitting on your front lawn, not being aggressive, but they're on your property, what can you as a property owner do? What can you as a business owner do to that individual other than let them sit? And here's what's going to happen, and this is where it becomes problematic. So the property owner or the business owner are now going to take things into their own hands. The victim, who's that property owner or victim owner, or property owner or business owner, are going to become the offender. And the offender, who won't leave your property, if the business owner, property owner does something to that person, they now become the victim. So now you're turning victims into offenders and offenders into victims just based on one simple thing, because for whatever reason they didn't think that police should arrest people for trespassing. As I told the Economic Alliance, this is more of an 8-hour course as opposed to 10 minutes. But it's just simple little things like that we need to continue to get this information out, to educate people so they know. And again, you know, nobody wants to be a fearmonger. Nobody wants to, you know, as I told the committee this morning, I've been called a fearmonger. I've been called a liar. You know, and you know, it's just simple to read. You can read it for yourself.
So I had the opportunity to be in the Economic Alliance meeting on this past Thursday. And the important piece is that, as the sheriff stated, it's, from my perspective, it's a Cook County bill. We have a number of delegates from our branch, the NAACP, attended the state convention, and I conveyed to those individuals that was in attendance last Thursday that 3653 would be a dialogue. What is the position of the NAACP? And I most recently talked to our state president. I'm the vice president of the state conference of the 42 branches of the NAACP here in the state of Illinois. And Sheriff, we're going to be making contact with the state president in the state of New Jersey to see what type of impact, involvement that they have. And the NAACP does not agree with everything that's in 3653. We've been a proponent of looking at a series of trailer bills. The NAACP have a relationship with the senator, and I'll just say Senator Sims, with him. Initially, he attended a number of our meetings for for our support over a year ago. And I've met with him, Rosemary, when he was at Lorenzo's, well, at the Senior Citizen building out at Lorenzo Smith. And I'm saying it's something that we have to do like yesterday to make some provisions. Senator Joyce and Representative Haas made some comments. So at this time, Jackie, you want to, from your perspective and some things, can you lay out things that we're trying to put in place to improve 3653, please?
Last week, as the sheriff mentioned, there's work on some trailer bills, and I think the sheriff mentioned to the group last week that, or it may have even been in, we've been talking about this a lot, it may have even been in a different meeting, that the Sheriff's Association has received an invitation to participate in those discussions, which, you know, that was an issue in the original bill too, that all of the stakeholders really weren't participating in the crafting of this bill, and that was really one of a big flaw in that as well, that all those that were going to be impacted weren't a part of the crafting of the legislation. So they will, I believe, accept that invitation. Is that correct? And be a part of that, the Sheriff's Association?
Yes.
So that will hopefully have some input into the trailer bills as well. I don't know if we'll see that in veto session or if that will be later after the first of the year, but we will definitely keep you posted as we learn more about that.
Also, as I stated Thursday, of the 102 counties that makes up the state of Illinois, 10 Shared Principles Initiative, but Paulette, Debbie, Kathy was delegates this past week at the NAACP State Convention. And from our perspective is that of those 102 counties, there's things that possess here in Kankakee County that some of the other counties that might have an NAACP branch in their jurisdiction do not have the relationship. Professor Stroud can pick up the phone and call Lieutenant Mason, can call Chief Passwater, have the sheriff on speed dial, call Chief Swinford in Mantino, and have a relationship with the respective county seat mayor. Some of that does not happen in the other 102 counties, so guess what? It makes, and the state's attorney. How many people at midnight, matter of fact, I talked to him, I think 7 o'clock this morning. How many people that a branch president can have that kind of relationship when some of the hot topics with the NAACP is criminal justice, police reform, okay? And where you have that relationship with those key people that are in those county seats, the sheriff and the mayor of respective cities and your state's attorney. That doesn't happen every day. So guess what, Chris? It makes Kankakee a little unique, makes us a little unique with Champaign, you know, with President Pearson or our state president in Sangamon County. It makes us unique. How many, we've had individuals to visit here to look at the model, and the sheriff was well aware, and the state's attorney, where we have other branches. Professor Stroud is looking at the model, and Jackie, the model of our response team. Because at the rate that we're going, dealing with police reform in the criminal justice system, I just read, what if we do have that civil unrest? And our response team have been in a position in the last, I would say, at least 2 months to address some of those purposes of the intent of those members. So, Rhonda, I know on the agenda, so do you want to sort of bring us up to date of our last meetings and where we are today? Appreciate it.
So we've had a very productive summer. The response team has finalized their bylaws and kind of governance and all of the particulars. We have also, at Chief Passwater's request, we were able to send out 4 members to the event that happened on Merchant Street. And we got a real wonderful taste of the community and some of the tensions of what's going on. And I think what was most productive is we took a lot of learning away from that experience, particularly the role we can play to speak to the police line and get information right away of what's really happening. And then we can go into the community and serve and listen and share truth in relationship. And so we served in that capacity that day. We spoke with the police and got the information of what the delay was on the state's side. And then we went and passed out water bottles and spoke with the community that the mayor had provided. And we were able to then, just in casual conversation, help bring some tension down just by disseminating true facts of what was going on. And so then we met afterward with Chief Passwater and the deputy chief and talked about all that we'd learned. And we've now put together some marketing materials. And our biggest need right now is to recruit young folks, particularly black and brown young folks, so that they can just help us reach even further into the community in those situations. We also got on Slack so that we can be called on a moment's notice as a team. That's an app for communicating with the whole team so that we can be activated very quickly just from an app on our phone. So,
Rhonda, can you also touch on our last 2 meetings where we have actually reviewed some of the video of other incidents that have happened across America on how the response team can be able to address some of those concerns?
Yeah, so we are, every time we meet now, we are watching a video to watch an incident and begin dialoguing, kind of getting the feel of the room, the different perspectives, and then how we would move forward with that, especially to make sure that we have a unified front. But we are relying heavily on the police training that we received from Officer Baston, and we are looking to continue that training to make sure that our perspectives are grounded in police procedure and understanding of that, as well as the investigative process. Theodis, is there anything else in there that you're looking for?
Yeah, I was going to ask the sheriff and the guy with you, possibly. I know he talked with Donna about the next training session, because we're trying to expand the membership, even though they might not be a member of the response team, but other community leaders that be trained. So I know Andy has gotten with Andy, so I don't know if
he has not, but
okay.
I've been in and out, so.
Okay.
Yep.
And also, we have Kathy, and as Miss Claudia know, and we have a request, Lieutenant Mason and Chief Swinford, those response team members and other members of the NAACP will, for instance, go to the Kankakee Police Department 6 a.m. meeting to meet that shift. Then we have a group to 6 to 2, 2 to 10, 10 to 6. So we're going to hit each one of those different shifts for our team, our members, to be able to know the respective officers. So we're Bradley, Mantino, Mo Mintz, Kankakee, Bourbonnais, and so that would also expand and building that relationship. Case in point, when Rhonda and those members actually was called upon to deal with the incident over by St. Mary's where the 3 individuals were shot, and they responded. And so that was our first experience. And then there was one in Marycrest in the city. So it's been a great time. I had a conversation with Chief Swinford yesterday, and I know I definitely conveyed that to the sheriff in Jim Rowe. This, Lieutenant Mason, you, Swinford, and County Board Member Hunter was on the initial committee to draft the initial purpose. And as I was telling Chief Swinford, this has mushroomed more than what we ever thought that it would, Professor Stroud, where we would be at this time. So this is, again, is something that we're more in a progressive, preventive measure, that if something happened here, and that's the same things that I conveyed to the lawyer, to the Economic Alliance members. And since last Thursday, Sheriff, I had to have at least 5 or 6 phone calls where individuals now sort of understand what was the first conversation. Why do we have to have criminal justice or police reform? What was the purpose? Is that was the intent of the bill? No, but we needed across this nation that had to be some type of form of police reform. But is it that type of reform? So again, I think it's incumbent on our branch, our state, NAACP, again, to collaborate and see what we can get out of New Jersey and bring that back, Jackie, to see, because everything can be mitigated. And I think that's the point that we are. We want to improve the quality of life, improve the relationship and trust between black and brown, black and respective communities with law enforcement. That's the gist of why everybody is here. Any questions?
Well, let me say, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to go back to what the sheriff had discussed this morning at the criminal justice meeting. I was pleased with some of the comments that Chief Justice Tom Cunnington made, Sheriff Downey and Jim Rowe, and some of the questions that were posed regarding House Bill 3653. I suggested, and I had Lori confirm that I suggested to Andy Wheeler, the board chairman, that there needed to be an in-service on this particular House bill, because the implications are catastrophic in terms of how it may affect public safety in our county. And I don't think we can really stress it enough. Me as a black person, I have tremendous concerns about some of the faux pas and the negative aspects of House Bill 3653. So I understand, Jackie, that I've talked with Senator Joyce in the past week or two. I understand that he's working, and I guess with you as well too, on a bipartisan trailer bill that will probably be brought up soon. I'm not sure if it's going to be coming up in the veto session or how it'll be addressed, but I'm giving assurances by him that may happen in terms of some things positive to mitigate the things that the sheriff and Rowe and Chief Judge was talking about, as well as what Theodis just indicated. People of color, black and brown, white people as well too, will be suffering if 3653 is implemented the way it is right now. And I'm not a fearmonger either, but things have to be done, and you can't pass that kind of legislation, 750 pages, at 4:30 in the morning. So we must, interface, articulate, to Senator Sims. Jackie's on board. Our Senator Joyce is on board already, but those other legislators in Kankakee County need to be advised of the implications of this particular House bill.
And then, when you really think about all of the things that we've accomplished over the last 3 to 5 years, and the next item, we can start with Chief Passwater, Swinford, or Lieutenant Mason, and the sheriff to give the updates on where we are with body cams. That is also a very good thing that have promoted, again, the trust and to build those relationships for our efforts with law enforcement. So can we give update, Chief Passwater, then Lieutenant, and then Chief Swinford, then we can deal with the sheriff, and Chief Springer, we can see what you're doing at KCC.
So we now have every officer and detectives are assigned body cameras, and also in the squad car, all of them have been updated. So we've been like fully implement it for probably 2 months, really. So it's working out fine, and everybody's been trained up, and right now we haven't seen any issues with it.
We've been having them implemented for about 3 years now. It's working very well, very beneficial, and had a lot of success with them, so we're in good shape with it.
Lieutenant?
Had them about a year now. I just trained 4 of our new officers that just came out of the academy on them, and it's a whole new perspective. Everybody's on board with having them. I mean, it helps us more than it's ever hindered us, so everybody was for that in the beginning, but if they weren't, they're on the same page now.
We are 100% in line as well. All my officers are wearing body cams. Also in the process of ordering another 6, just as backups. So.
Sheriff?
Yeah, ours have been operational, I think, just over a year. And as we said from the beginning, and I did reiterate with the Economic Alliance last week, that we did not just foo-foo the entire 3653. There were good things that came out of it as well. And one was the body camera requirement. Costly for municipalities, but as we've talked, the cost of the body cameras are going to far they're not going to be near what it would be if we get sued, because they'll cover us more than they'll hurt us, as Lieutenant Mason said. One thing I can tell you, though, and I'm probably the last person in this room that needs to be talking about any kind of technology, but let me get this right. So when we download these videos, and you might talk about this better, Bob, I don't know. When we download these videos, there's what's called bandwidth. And don't ask me what the heck that is, but I guess it's necessary to download videos. So we are on a network countywide. And the county actually pays $585 a month for this bandwidth. Well, what was happening is if officers are downloading this stuff from their cars, it takes forever. And it does that. You get that little circle or that hourglass or whatever that you're waiting on, you know. So our IT department, Chief Trent Bukowski and Josh, who's in the back room here monitoring our meeting, met with Comcast, and we have upgraded our bandwidth. And it just went into effect yesterday. So what that does is we will not have those issues of guys sitting in a car watching that circle go round and round while their videos upload. So, but again, so our cost went from $585 a month to now $1,300 a month. So, I mean, there is a cost associated with all this stuff, but from our standpoint here, I think it's important that rather guys sitting in their car waiting for this to upload and the circle going, to have it upload immediately so they can get back out on the street and keep our community safe. So, you know, at what price do you put on public safety? And so we went forward with it, and the Comcast just moved us up in bandwidth yesterday, so we should be good to go for a while, because I think every agency in the county is using body cameras right now, with the exception of state police. So.
The only thing I was going to add is, as far as we're talking about legislation, is we need to revisit. I know we've talked about it here in other places, but
Right.
There are no grants for the cloud storage, and like Sheriff Downey said, that's where the money's at.
Yeah, I was going to ask,
We're
what is
fortunate
everybody
enough,
doing with
we
storage?
had our own servers already, but they get full after. I mean, you have minimum requirements on how long you're keeping everything. So, obviously, any type of push, I mean, these are all unfunded mandates, as everyone in this room knows, and that's what's hurting us even more than the mandates themselves. First, you force these mandates, it's going to double the mandates January 1st on what we currently have, but there's no funding for it. And a lot of these are basically you have to go somewhere to be trained, and there's a lot of like in-person, you have to be certified, which is all good things, but with that should come money, because whether you're backfilling or you're sending officers, you need to fill that. We also had to upgrade our internet service at our department because it was so slow. But fortunately, we have servers, but sooner or later there's going to run out. Those can cost anywhere from $70,000 just to start off. So people don't realize that, because when they push these out, they just push them out in the middle of the night, like we said, at 4:30. And if you break that down to a common person, then it puts a little more perspective on it,
Right.
which then may get some more votes on pushing that through.
When the mandate did come out, after it came out, there were grants available through the state for equipment only. It was just the equipment. So significantly, the equipment is the least of the cost of operating the body cams. The other issue, and every department in here is going to experience it at some point, is the FOIAs and the redactions and providing this information out to respond to these FOIAs. That's going to take personnel, it's going to take time. So there's additional money, financial requirements besides just the storage, besides just the cameras themselves and the equipment. So, yeah, sure, that's out there, and it certainly is an unfunded mandate, but I know that we can say that everybody in our county is doing the best they can, given the resources they have.
During the meeting, we had,
I
go
just
ahead,
want
Chief.
to add to that. I attend the Tri-River meeting monthly, and there's a member of the Training and Standards Board attends that. At the last meeting I was at, and I think I missed the last one, but the previous meeting, he indicated there was discussions of covering storage, and it sounded like it had a good chance of going through. They were just trying to work out the details with departments that have their own servers, or how much storage, or how that was all going to work out. We got to go to the same place, but it did sound kind of positive that might be coming down the pike.
As I was going to state, we had Reggie Bell, which is one of our members of the response team, and also Alderman Reggie Jones of the 7th Ward entered the meeting during our discussion. So,
Yeah, I was wondering, does anybody know, because I heard the president indicate that there would be a proposal for more cops. I don't know if it's a cops grant like the whole thing, or equipment storage and so forth, coming through DOJ. Does anybody know anything, have any specificities on that?
It has not come out yet, but I can guarantee you that every police administrator in here will be watching it closely and going after it all.
Yeah.
right. Mayor, you have any comments? Mayor Curtis? Thanks for attending. I just want to applaud with, as Officer Harris, that was just most recent sworn in.
Marcus Harris?
Yes.
That was Tuesday. Yes.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Monday.
Started as a correctional officer, by the way.
You know, Sheriff, I knew that, and I did that to prompt you to take. So, but yeah, that, you know, as Mr. Hunter just stated, and you know, we all as citizens in Kankakee County, and if we're truly about improving those relationships, law enforcement, and building those relationships, Chief Passwater and I have talked, and we receive information from the city. We need more Afro-American and brown individuals in law enforcement. So I was with Alderman Jones, and I think that was, correct me, Mr. Jones, but he and I was in a conversation, Sheriff, and the person, Lori, just started talking about, we don't have this, we don't have that. So my question was, we don't have enough firefighters, we don't have enough black firefighters, we don't have officers, and the city's not doing this. So I just simply turned to him, Chief, and I said, can you tell me how many applied? So Jackie, Professor Stroud, you teach those classes, and I've spoke to your classes, and Sheriff, I've been at Spring, I've been at KCC in those criminal justice classes. So if individuals that looks like me don't apply, how can they be hired? So again, it's incumbent on us to share as much information as possible to try to solve some of those social ills that we have. But at the same time, we as citizens, Claudia, when we hear things that we know that is not true, it's incumbent on us to put a pin in it then. And it's not true. So that also improves the relationship of our community.
Yeah, and I mentioned this morning about hiring, and we are, as well as Kankakee City, I know are testing in October. And I know that our applications, right now, it's only, middle of September. We don't have a whole lot of individuals who have applied yet. Now, that could change. They could come at the last minute, which I think historically they do. But one of the things that we did, and I know they did it I know it was done for the city too, is I reached out to you to post it on your social media page. I reached out to James Taylor to put it in the city news. And just for the record, I did offer to pay for an ad in James' paper. And to his credit, he said there is no charge. So credit to him for putting that information out. And, hopefully we get some applicants. And Theodis and I have had a number of conversations about that. And unfortunately, we can't hire people who don't apply. And so it's imperative to go through our process. And I know Chief Passwater, I know all the chiefs in here feel the same way. We want good quality candidates, and we want to have the best police agencies that in the state of Illinois and the country. So if you know somebody looking, please encourage them to apply. If they apply at city and Chief Passwater hires them, good for them. If they apply with us and we hire them, hey, we're looking for good people. So,
absolutely. Mayor?
I just wanted to mention, also, the previous week, was it 5 officers, Chief Passwater? There was 5 additional officers along with Mr. Harris that were hired about 10 days ago. Of that, 2 were female, 1 was African American, and 1 was Hispanic.
a couple of them also worked in the jail too.
Boy, he's going to one-up us all day, isn't he?
Farm club. Yeah.
Sheriff, I'm just feeding you passes, that's all.
Hey, we're like the Iowa Cubs. We're just the farm club, so.
Right. That's good. But I mean, that is what we have to do. And I know the sheriff, and I know the city of Kankakee, as the former school liaison for 111, we did a number of job fairs. And I think we basically have to almost go to the 4th and 5th grade to make individuals aware of law enforcement and some of the other occupations that prevail currently for our youth. That's what we have to do. So we have 5 minutes. Any closing? We try to get hold of it for an hour.
One more thing, and we didn't mention the work we do with Olivet from recruiting corrections people to police, and one other person that we might want to include in these meetings might be the new law enforcement guy from KCC. Yeah, I don't know his name. Oh, good. So I think that would be a plus, because that's where these kids coming through school that are involved in Olivet's program, they're involved in KCC's program, I think are a benefit both colleges, both KCC and Olivet Nazarene University do a great job in getting their students prepared to work in this tough field. So,
Chris, any questions? Anyone? No questions. Lori, any comment? Oh, yeah, Chris.
Do we know what the percentage of minority police and sheriff officers that we have in our communities? You know what the percentages are?
Total?
Yeah.
I don't.
No.
Yeah, I know you and I had about
something
a
we
couple
can
of months
figure
ago.
out.
You sent me that, and we'll get with. I know I have his. Okay. I have it at the NAACP office, actually on the desktop, and then we'll follow up with that. Any other closing comments, Alderman?
Yes, yes, sir. I just want to reiterate the importance of hopefully that we do push it in school, because being in the neighborhood is not always, we want hopefully black and brown people to be more positive about our police officers at the table, because, a lot of the time we can have meetings here, but we need to be in the house where they are hearing great things and positive things about our police officers and the jobs that they do and the opportunities that exist. Because once I started talking about it, I know how to lead the conversation about how you get paid. And some of them don't know how they can get paid and all that. In our culture, we are culturally taught the police are the enemies and all that. It's not really the case. I will hope that we continue as a people that, we can step in and say certain things like Mr. Pace has said, hey, when something is said or somebody says something negative about an officer, we have to tell the truth. Say, no, that's not true. The officer was right or we was wrong. Man, why don't you come or a young lady police your own neighborhood? I'm big on that. I'm a little bit too old right now to join the academy, but I'm a little bit old, but
right.
I would just hope that we reiterate when they graduate. Hey man, go to school to be a police officer, police your own neighborhood, and that's the thing that I'm constantly telling them. Because change don't come unless you make it.
Any other? Kathy?
I have to agree with Theodis that I think maybe we need to start in the lower grades and get to these kids before they get to high school and have already made up their minds if they want to live on the streets or if they want to actually make something of themselves. So I don't know if we need to do 4th and 5th, but I think we definitely need to do junior high before they hit those high school floors.
Thank you. I have an announcement. Saturday, October the 22nd, I think Paulette might have passed out a invitation. I just made copies of the NAACP Gala. Again, it's 5:30 Saturday, October 22nd. And Chief, I hope we have those squads and Mayor, the firefighters for the East Side Parade next Saturday, 1 o'clock, leaving King Middle School to the Paramount. So I got to look out for my 300-plus kids for Eastside Junior Football League. Big parade, come out, a lot of candy. They're going to be throwing candy, Lori, your favorite candy. Yeah, right. Mayor, it's at 1 o'clock. It kicks off at 1 o'clock at King. Next Saturday, 24th. And I want to thank you for what you've been doing out at River Road Park with the kids. I truly appreciate it. Again, about that relationship. Oh, and the health fair, Kidney Mobile, and that's from 10 to 2 at the 4th floor of the Public Library next Saturday also, 24th. Thank you.
Ads?
Yeah, I do that.
You can just.
I do it in a few minutes.
I saw theirs on there before ours, and I was
Yeah.
like a little disappointed, but
Right.
ours looks nicer. Yeah.
Yeah, right,
I thought I beat you, but.
right. So can we get a motion to adjourn? Moved by Lori. Second, Lieutenant Mason. Thank you. All in favor? Go. See you on the 6th.